Hello everybody, I'm Ard, and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. Today, I figured we would start back into Extra Utils 2 and start clearing up my power generation stuff to prep it to be moved to a new building. And so I'm going to grab all of my grid power stuff and toss it into a compact machine for storage, since the power transfers through dimensions anyways. And in doing so, let's build out some more power and add a bunch of power sources we didn't have before and talk about our various options. And after that, we can start filling out the actual Extra Utils chapter in the quest book. Sound good? Let's get started. Alright, since I don't think I ever actually properly discussed grid power in the previous episode when I got this dragon egg and set up the mill, let's start with that and what the options are. So grid power is a separate power source for Extra Utils 2 specifically that acts as a wireless power system. The various mills that generate power generate based on diminishing returns and are basically constant sources of power. So it's basically a debit against the max for the most part when in use. Each of the mills generates a certain amount of power, and the more of them each mill you have, the less efficient they are. The best example is actually the dragon mill, because it depreciates pretty quickly because it generates 500 power. As soon as you add a second one, it drops to 250, and then another one, and they depreciate very, very quickly in value. There's also the lava mill, which if there's lava around it, it generates power. If it's flowing lava, it generates more. From what I understand, the max this can actually generate is 3.5 and not 4. There might be a bug. That's what the wiki says. I have to test it. There's the water mill, which is the same thing, but with water. A windmill, which just needs the north and south blocks cleared, but generates a random amount of constant power, more when it rains, but we're probably going to place it inside here somewhere. And you need a ton of these, because you notice it says it generates one to like 3-ish probably. It doesn't even lose efficiency until you get to 512. I don't know how many of these I'm going to bother making. And then the fire mill, which is the one we got a bunch of from loot chests, which just generates a static amount when sitting over a fire. So you just put a piece of netherrack down, light it on fire, and put them on top of that. The creative mill we are going to ignore until we get to the end game. And then there's the manual one, which is one where you can bootstrap in and just manually crank it to get power to get your initial resonator stuff going if you need to. There are also solar and lunar panels that can give power as well. Again, I probably won't bother with these because they don't generate that much. You need a bunch of them, but who knows, if I end up needing more, I will, because again, you lose efficiency after a certain point, so only really a certain amount of each is that useful to begin with. So as you can see, I brought the dragon egg in here just to keep my normal power going through my base for now while I set up the rest. I'm going to start by laying out the water ones, and I'm going to put a link in the description to show you the layout I'm using for it. That works pretty efficiently. Okay, and now I have the water mills set up. As you can see, there's flowing water going into each of these mills in pretty much every direction. So this is generally how you want to set this up. You can see, looking at it, even with only 9 of them, there's already an efficiency loss, and they're only generating 12.74 instead of 16 each. But that's fine, because now we are at 681 grid power when we were at 500 and something before. So it's already a significant boost. Now what I'm going to do is add a couple more layers above this. Alright, and a tower of water mills stacked 4 high. There's 36 water mills in this stack now. And as you can see, we're now up to 871 grid power. So we're making significant gains, and this is only with this much being added right now. I could go higher up, but instead I'm going to add 3 layers of the lava mills above this, just for diversity, because we're already at nearly 50% efficiency loss on this now. Let's go set up a lava one to show you what that one looks like now. Alright, and now a single lava layer set up. As you can see, it's a slightly different layout than the water one because the lava blocks only need one side facing flowing lava to get its max power output. As you can see, this one in the corner is generating 3, and the one in the middle over here is also generating 3. The exact same power no matter how much lava is facing it. It only needs flowing lava on one side. If it was a single solid block here, it only generates 2. There's probably some way I could have done this even more compactly, but I want to use the same amount of space I currently have for the water mills, and this is the best I could come up with on short notice. So let me put another 2 layers on top of this and finish this out. Okay, so I'm not going to lie, that top layer was actually kind of tricky to put in since I had no room up against the ceiling. But now we have a full stack of lava and water paste grid power for now. If we pop open this top block, you can see that we're not even maxed out on lava mill power. There's no efficiency drop yet, and we're over 1,000 grid power. But I'm going to call this good for the lava power for now. Next step are going to be the fire mills over in a block over here, and we're just going to stack them up a couple layers and remove the ones that are currently inside my base and just pile them all up in a pile here. Alright, and now a small tower of fire mills made. I could go higher and make more of them, but I'm just not going to bother because they don't really generate that much power. It's 4 per. If we need more, we can make more. It's starting to hit the effectiveness limit on those though, so we're hitting diminishing returns. I could add windmills, but that's a lot of work and I'd rather just automate that since you need to make a lot of them. And it just doesn't seem worth the bang. I'm probably better off just pushing forward to making more dragon mills. But now as you can see, we are at 1062 max power, which gives us quite a bit to work with since we're using a whole tenth of that or so right now, with occasional spikes up higher when something triggers inside one of my other systems somewhere. Now what I was going to try to do this time was make more dragon mills, but I found a pretty big blocker, and that's in the dragon egg itself. So as per vanilla Minecraft rules, you can only get 1 dragon egg per server the normal way. If you can respawn the ender dragon per normal vanilla rules with ender stars, but that doesn't create a new egg. The only way to make a new egg is either do it via mystical aggregations off of dragon egg chunks, which requires dragon egg essences from a mystical agriculture farm, or you can make it with this recipe, which these look scary, but this is just any egg, in a dragon scale, which, well, we've got some from killing the ender dragon, and dragon hearts, which, while Draconic Evolution can be replicated for a lot and look scary, but they can be converted from fire and ice dragon hearts, which we have a bunch of, and now have a dragon spawner. But the stopper is the dragon stone, which requires an elven portal, which, as you remember, we got blocked on. So astral sorcery is somewhere in the near future, I guess. That said, what we're going to work on next is clearing out more of the extra util stuff, since that's the general theme today. And as you can see, we still have a good chunk of this chapter to go, although it's not all that much work, because this block right over here are all the generators that lead up to the rainbow generator. These are its various machines, which if we make the crusher, we'll actually finish this out, so I probably should do that. Things like the angel ring, which is what we're going to make first, because this is probably the most useful thing on the page right now, and then various other random pieces. So let's get started on the angel ring, which gives you creative flight at the cost of grid power. And it's actually really easy to make in this pack. So as long as you have an elytra, which I went and found one specifically for this purpose, it's not too bad. You also need ethereal glass, which is one of the other chains, but we'll do that up front. This ender star, which sounds scary, but well, it's just another star. Some dragon's breath, which, if you remember, I did not get when I fought the ender dragon, but I went back to go kill another one just to make sure you couldn't get an egg that way, so I went and got a couple dragon's breaths that time. Prismarine shards, which we're getting out of our Civ farm, and black quartz, which we can also get out of our Civ farm. And the rest of this, other than the rings, is pretty mundane. There's 2 choices of them. The chicken wing ring is really easy. It's just pretty generic pieces. And a golden lasso with a chicken in it, which, well, we can go do that. Oh, and before I forget again, I realized, once again, my villagers are my MVPs, because there was something I glossed over and completely forgot to mention. In all of the mill recipes, you need a resonating redstone crystal, which you also need some other things, which isn't too hard to make. It's just 4 redstone and a cut up ender pearl. But why would I do that when I can just kidnap a villager who will just sell 4 of them to me for an emerald? That just sounds like silliness to me. Just kidnap a villager, folks. So before we get started on the angel ring, we need to discuss the ethereal glass, because there's a reason I'm over here on Boomy Explodey Island, where I've been exploding all thing with whites and everything else, because there's a dangerous step to this. Because the ethereal glass requires a moonstone, and the moonstone requires an unstable ingot, which does exactly what it says it does. It can explode if you're not ready and fast enough. Like so. So, don't be me, folks. If you're going to build with these, be ready for them, because it does not end well. Okay, and 1 angel ring made. And as you can see, it's just straight up giving me normal creative flight. And it just uses up a little bit of extra grid power. And yet we have plenty, so this isn't even a problem. Probably should have made this a long time ago. Alright, now that we have that done, let's go make the crusher so we can unlock the rest of this chain. And this is just a normal standard rock crusher, but it lets you use the grid power to speed it up. This reminds me, I never did explain one of the reasons we wanted more grid power, and that's because we can make the ultimate speed upgrade now, which the main blocking point on that was the drops of evil, which we're getting out of our mob farm from our wither skeleton spawners, and these evil infused ingots. And these require nether stars, which we now have a fairly large amount of and can very easily make these. And the reason you want these is these can stack up to 64 versus 16 versus 4, unlike the normal ones. So it speeds the machines up dramatically at the expense of significantly more grid power, but it does work. And done with the crusher, all easy peasy. And as you can see from the recipe, it's just a pretty standard crusher with a ton of recipes in it. I don't know if there's any surprises in here or not. I don't think there are, other than just massive speed upgrades from the Extra Utils 2 upgrades. But that allowed us to finish out this chain. Next, let's go down this chain to unlock the ethereal glass, and it starts with this screen. Not really something all that useful, just lets you make pretty things. And it's pretty simple. It's just a carved up ender shard and then all easy stuff. And screen made. And the screen lets you basically link to an image online. You just put it up like that. You can actually tile these to be bigger squares and rectangles, and it will fill up all of them with a single image. But you go in here and you can just start typing in the Imgur link, or copy and paste. Done and done. And that clears out that one, and also cleared out the angel block. And the angel block is a block that you can literally just place in midair. It's good for making platforms in the air so you don't have to tower up to them to do it if you can already fly. And the angel blocks are actually pretty easy to make at this point in the game. But like I said, I already got some free ones, and you only really need one to start a platform off of it anyways. So the next step is dark glass, which is related to the ineffable dark glass we're using in our mob farm. You just can't walk through this. This is the earlier precursor to it. And this is also pretty easy to make. It's just thickened glass and black dye. And thickened glass is just, well, sandy glass, which is just sand and glass. And finished with that, which also cleared out the ethereal glass because we just did that. And this is the start of the blocks you can walk through. And the last thing in this line is the builder's wand, which, well, given that we already made this super powered one from the builder's wand mod, I mean, I guess we're going to make this just to get it done, huh? And it's just 2 magical wood and an ingot. And another easy step done. The last thing that I think I'm going to do today is make all of the spikes. They're used for mob farms to kill mobs. You can use vector plates or fans to blow them into them. I'm just going to make what's required by these, and then we're going to put them in a box and forget they exist because we're using a mob crusher anyways. Okay, so I finished the spikes, and they work just by running into them. And they do different things, and I got caught by surprise by the diamond one. So the wood ones don't kill mobs. They'll reduce it to nearly dead if you want to kill it manually yourself. The stone ones just damage, iron damage, gold ones drop experience, and diamond ones are player kill. That said, these first 4 give you 4 per recipe, the diamond ones give you 1. And they are super complicated to make, not necessarily because of the compressed diamonds, which I have tons of, or the luminous scaffolding, which I can just buy off of a villager downstairs and convert it into the slab, but because of the flux and fuse sword, which are dropping on my mob farm, but I'm destroying, so I don't have one, and they're pretty rare. But I at least have these. But the trick was I ran into this and looked into this, and I'm like, well, this is all new, but thankfully it's mostly easy to make. The trick is this flux crystal. Well, you need a bucket of destabilized redstone, which, yeah, okay, I can get that, I guess. Or you need to set up the fluid transposer, which thankfully I have made, just didn't have set up. So it was a complication I wasn't looking for, and thankfully I don't actually need these. Now that we've done all this, however, let's go collect all the loot chests and let's see what we get. 21 of them looks like. Let's go. More slime blocks, more arctic fur, more frame blocks. Cobweb, super disappointing so far. Block of fire melee, which we've got coming out of the mob farm. Food we've eaten. Food we haven't eaten. Umbrum sapling, which we didn't have. Food we haven't eaten. A rocket engine. Well, I guess that's something I didn't have and won't have to make now. Lots of rocket engines, actually. Okay. Are you kidding me? A battle wrench. I don't even know what this does. Transform upgrades, which we completely bypassed. Eyes of Ender, which we can easily make. Donut we haven't eaten. Could have going to do that right now, actually. That was worth it. It gave me a heart. Another robot, which we will use to craft stuff later. An 82 crafting unit. Well, that'll be useful. Colored block crafter, which if memory serves, this is actually kind of interesting, but I don't remember how it works offhand. I'll have to show it off some other time. Another draconic evolution energy crystal. Greenhouse glass, which would be nice if our farm wasn't inside the box. Oh, would have finished a quest. Another power cell, which is another battery. So that was a interesting but weird set of drops. I think we actually got some really good things in between all of the complete garbage this time though, so that might be useful, huh? Anyhow, as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.